2011 by the American Association of Family and Consumer Sciences. Professor Pasricha also serves as the Executive Director of Educators for Socially Responsible Apparel Practices on the Board of Directors of the Textile Center of Minnesota, and as an advisor of Mindful Business podcast. She has exhibited her sustainable fashion collection at the Minnesota History Center and Catherine G. Murphy Gallery. With over a quarter century of global teaching and research experience, Professor Pasricha advocates technology, innovation system thinking, circularity, and responsible creation, use and consumption of the sustainable apparel industry. In 2020, she served as a guest co-editor for Fashion Practice Journal Special Issue on India. The special issue focused on the environmental concerns, design aesthetics, and sustainability. A global speaker, mentor, and collaborator, Dr. Pasricha likes to engage in meaningful academic and industry partnerships for sustainable design projects. With this, I would like to hand over the session to our Honorable Chair. Ma'am, you are requested to begin the session.
Hello, everyone. Thank you very much. Can you hear me? So I want to start with thanking Dr. Vandana Jaglan and Satyam Fashion Institute and SNDT, and also Ujwalji for speaking kind words about me. So thank you very much for that.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you.
Yeah, and I also want to kind of bring back, I was listening to the previous speakers, and before I start talking about our session, I wanted to bring a couple things. One, Ujwalaji mentioned about fashion being a mindset and how we can be the change agents to change the iconic capacity of fashion. And I thought that was really powerful because I also see fashion as an act of activism, which shapes the society, shapes the culture. It's a very innovative space. And also if you really think about all the influencers are all in that fashion space. So that as a fashion, we have a very strong power to be the change agents for the society in a big way. And then I also want to mention Dr. Saroj. Sarojji mentioned that what is meant by being educated, and I thought that was really strong because we all can be reading books, doing whatever, but being educated means how we actually apply that knowledge and make society a better place to be. So I think I thought both of those were great ideas. So our session today is about sustainability in design practices, and I want to start by defining what I think sustainability is. I see that as a way of thinking, worldview, which has a balance of, it has to be like ecologically sound, economically viable, socially and culturally just and equitable, and has a lot of humane values. So those are like the four things that I always think about sustainability, or a lot of companies call it social responsibility, or it's like a fashionable term calling sustainability, but we have been doing it for years, right? For centuries, we've been, especially as India as a country, we are very sustainable if you really think about it. And then I also want to give some frame of reference here about, which I think Ujwalji mentioned, that focus on system thinking, where we should start thinking about when we think about design practices and design thinking. System thinking would mean that we don't just see what we do today and what's the immediate effect of it. See it in a bigger picture, see what things are coming in, where they are going out, and what will happen to them, and who's being benefited, who is being not benefited by these processes. So not just thinking about, oh, I picked up this, I'm recycling this fabric and I'm going to create something new, but how it's going to influence the disposal of it, how it's going to influence the people who are going to be losing jobs because we are not using the new fabric. So thinking about everybody in that process and how we can create spaces where everybody can thrive in that system. And then also the 4 pillars that I've already mentioned are the environmental, social. In social, obviously, the cultural empowerment and equity involves the economic and the humanity. And then the third frame of reference is about, I'm sure you all know about Sustainable Development Goals, which United Nations has put together. And I think thinking that how we can accomplish those goals through sustainability, whether it's design practice or whatever we do, even our daily life, how we live our daily life, is also really important in thinking about that. So with that, I would like to now introduce our expert speakers, and I'm really fortunate to be getting this opportunity to have a conversation with them. So I would introduce them, and then I will hand over the microphone to them. So I'll start with our speaker. The first speaker is Ms. Sonia Jaitley. Ms. Jaitley designs for the modern woman who's ambitious, driven, graceful, and yet respects her roots. She is known to strike a balance of the international trends with the Indian sensibilities. Each garment is self-narrative of the design process, right from the conceptualization stage to its execution. Since the inception of her studio in Delhi's prime location, Defense Colony, which in my time I used to call Def Calls. I don't know if that is still said, when I lived there. Sonia has dressed the most successful women from different walks of life. She's extremely quick in gauging what her customer is looking for and never fails to impress them with a wide array of designs. And what gets better is that she has perfected the art of customizing a product for a customer in order to make them feel that they own a 1 in a million design. A graduate in business administration, Sonia studied courses in fashion design from Sophia Polytechnic in Mumbai and NIFT Delhi. She's a registered member of the FDCI, which is Fashion Design Council of India, and very religiously has been participating in the fashion weeks held by the Fashion Bond. Sonia currently retails her merchandise through her own e-commerce website, which I'm sure the conference organizers will share the website, through, I think, Chatling would be good. She has multi-designer stores in cities like Delhi, Bangalore, Mumbai, and niche e-commerce websites such as Jaipur and The Loom. She has a strong foothold overseas by again supplying her merchandise in the USA, Canada, Mauritius, Jeddah, Kuwait, and Dubai. She's on the advisory panel of many fashion institutes across Delhi and other cities. Sonia participated in B2B and B2C exhibitions, the most recent one being the prestigious Textiles India 2017, held at Gandhinagar, Gujarat, organized by the Ministry of Textiles. Sonia Jaitley has evolved her thinking in building products which have less ecological impact and don't harm the environment at large. For her, sustainable fashion is being responsible on how to sustain the supply chain and people associated with the product. Right from her yarn vendors, weavers to garment processing team to the end consumer. Owning a Sonia Jaitley creation is like owning a piece of poetry created especially for you. And now I've already visited her website and I agree with that aspect. And I cannot wait to shop. In fact, I'm traveling to India pretty soon, so I'm ready to shop her collection now. So the second speaker is Mr. Sonal Jain. I hope he has joined us because I was watching. I don't know if he's there yet. Sonal Jain is a tech and textile entrepreneur with over 20 years of experience in scaling business models from merchant trading, manufacturing, exports, retail, D2C, and e-commerce. Recurring challenges of business and industry prompted him to look for modern-day solutions. He's the founder and CEO of Sotex, a B2B tech platform for fashion and textile industry, digitizing businesses' portfolios, fast-track design development, and build community awareness. Sotex is currently 15,000 plus business community from 10 countries engaging business for focused opportunities with offices in India, Bangladesh, and Dubai. He's also a knowledge partner to associations like Buying Agent Association, Garment Exporters of Rajasthan, Noida Apparel Export Cluster, Tirupur Export Association. Sonal also holds dual master's degree from Australia and is currently upgrading his design thinking and innovation skill from RMIT and Columbia University in USA. He is active networker on co-convener of Textile and Garment Industrial Group of JITO, which I don't know what does this stand for, member of FICCI, FICCI, ICC, IICCI, and SEMA Export and Exporters Club. And then our third speaker is Ms. Anju Dulshayen. I hope I said the name correctly. She's currently employed as an associate professor in the Department of Textiles and Apparel Design, SVT College of Home Science, for the last 24 years. She has been invited as a guest speaker on topics like merchandising and costing, global costumes, role of a merchandising, etc. She has presented a number of papers in national and international conferences and also published articles. During her tenure, she has been holding several key positions: chairperson, Students' Welfare Committee, chairperson, Local Inquiry Committee, patron member, Home Science Association of India, life member, Textile Association of India. I am also a life member of TAI, life member, Indian Fiber Society, member of Society of Dyers and Colorists. She has also been appointed as subject expert and chairperson for the local inspection committee of SNDT Women's University and a member of Avishkar Research Convention by SNDT Women's University. And our last speaker, Dr. Nidhi Goyal. She's currently working as an assistant professor of fashion design in the College of Art and Design, Royal University for Women, Kingdom of Bahrain. She obtained her master's degree in textiles and clothing from University of Delhi and PhD degree in nano finishing for textiles from University of Delhi in collaboration with IIT Department of Textile Technology. She was awarded with gold medal for her research work from Lady Win College, University of Delhi in 2015. She has also achieved the status of fellow, I think it's Home Economic Association, in recognition of attainment against the UK Professional Standards Framework for Teaching and Learning Support in Higher Education. She has published several research papers in international and national journals and written numerous chapters for academic books. She has presented her research work in numerous conferences and received awards to be added in her accomplishments. She has also served as guest reviewer for various international journals. She has spent considerable time in the premium institutes of India, such as University of Delhi, NIFT, and National Institute of Open Schooling, NIOS, and grooming a number of young minds through fashion design teaching, mentoring master's research dissertations, and a visiting jury member. So without using any more of your time, I would hand over the microphone to our first speaker, Ms. Sonia Jetli.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you, Anupama ma'am, for such a wonderful introduction. And thank you, faculty of Satyam Fashion Institute, for this wonderful opportunity. I'm looking forward to this session. So today we are going to discuss my favorite topic, which is gaining momentum on a day-to-day basis. So what is sustainability? And what is sustainable fashion? And how do we relate? So sustainability is a process of maintaining change in a balanced fashion. And what is this concept of sustainable fashion? So we are talking about new normal, the ongoing pandemic, and now how do we correlate sustainable fashion? So what is sustainable fashion? It is a practice. It is a movement. It is a fashion revolution, which is the need of the hour. So sustainable fashion is about fostering a fashion industry which takes a long-term approach to design, manufacturing, and consumption of garments, accessories, etc. Fashion which creates both good and avoids harm to both our planet, the people, and even the animals. Like Anupama ma'am explained about the 3 pillars of sustainability, which is ecological, because ecological impact is very, very crucial in the present day times. Number 2, economic, and number 3 are the social impact. So let's discuss one by one. What do we mean by the environment? Like how does sustainable fashion contribute? So when we talk about sustainable fashion, the first term which comes in our mind is eco-fashion. So eco-fashion is a growing design philosophy, which is also known as the green strategy. It is about producing clothing, shoes, and accessories in a more conscious and responsible manner. Fashion is evolving, and so to say, it's becoming more conscious, hence more responsible. And there is obvious the magic of genuine handmade. We belong to India, so we are very proud of our rich culture and heritage. So by promoting our own weaves and crafts of the country, like at present, I'm having this grassroots engagement with the Silk Chanderi weavers based out of Chanderi district in Ashok Nagar in Madhya Pradesh. I myself hail from Madhya Pradesh. I was born and brought up in Bhopal. Hence, I am very closely I have associated with Silk Chanderi weavers, then there are Maheshwari weavers, and then there are these crafts people from Bagh near Indore. So these are weaves and crafts I've been associated with since my childhood. So when we talk about sustainable fashion, we also talk about the carbon footprint. So what we understand by carbon footprint, again I'm using these very heavy duty terms, carbon footprint, then I'll be talking about how sustainable fashion is responsible for polluting the local fresh waters. So let's try and understand step by step what these concepts are. So what is carbon footprint? So carbon footprint is the amount of carbon dioxide, that is the CO2 emissions associated with all the activities of a person or any other entity, be it a building, a corporation, or even a country. So carbon footprint essentially includes direct emissions such as fossil fuels, emission of other toxic gases, etc. So by merely changing our own daily lifestyle, daily habits, and even our own lifestyle, like for example, using public transportation, buses, trains, going for carpools, it sounds very holistic, but that is the only way forward, which should be opted for. And installing energy saving, renewable energy devices. Fashion is also the second most polluting industry in the world after fossil fuels. And fashion alone is responsible for 10% of the carbon footprint of the entire world. So how do I just don't just want to talk, I also walk the talk. So what kind of personal initiatives is Sonia Jaitley taking as a designer, as the contributor to sustainable fashion? So for example, like they always say lead by example. So I like to go cycling. I'm present doing some project in Goa. So I'm based out of Goa from the past 3 months. So I like to start my day by cycling. So when I go for cycling, on my way back, I normally pick groceries on my bicycle. So what exactly is is Sonia Jaitley doing? I'm actually trying to reduce the carbon footprint by stopping the use of fuel. I'm reducing my carbon footprint. And also by purchasing from the local farmers, I'm again reducing the carbon footprint because I don't have to travel to further places. So these are the small personal initiatives one can take on a day-to-day basis. Change our purchasing habits, change our daily lifestyle, adopt for carpools. Like if you're in college, instead of going, in different, all of us like peers, we can always opt for carpools or go by metro, come to college in a metro. So these are very small changes we can always do. These are called best practices. And then now the question remains of how do we save local fresh water? So fashion industry is the greatest polluter of local fresh water in the world. In fact, the dyeing process is very toxic because it releases very toxic chemicals. And in China, the rivers change colors after the dyeing process, and it carries the color of the year. So it is a very shocking fact, which I'm, telling you all, but this is actually what is relevant in the global scenario. And it takes approximately 2,720 liters of water to produce just one t-shirt. Now, it's very shocking, but it's the harsh reality. And plastic microfibers, which are shed from synthetic clothing, it threatens marine life and end up in a food supply. So when we understand, when we are trying to understand like what are the the pros and cons which are facing on a day-to-day basis, how do we reduce the carbon footprint, how do we save the local fresh water? So the time has come for now in the new normal phase, and it's a waking call for all of us to adopt the 4 Rs. 4 Rs. By 4 Rs we mean reduce, reuse, recycle, and rewear. So these are the some of the new concepts, but we have to adopt these best practices on a day-to-day basis. By reduce, what I mean is choose quality over quantity. When I say reuse, I mean by adopting thrift shopping. In fact, Anupama ma'am must be aware that thrift shops, pre-loved owned shops are very much in fact, my daughter is studying in Stanford. She did her project in New York. So she used to go into thrift shops and buy pre-loved clothes just as a, that's by contributing, by becoming responsible as a student, pre-loved clothes, pre-owned clothes. And even Goa, like, these are these gratitude cafes where we go, like, we see a lot of these expat community, they come and they hang out and they buy these, pre-loved clothes and pre-loved some other products also. And then we talk about recycle. So what do we mean by recycle? By using waste which is produced in our workshops, which is actually left in our workshops, to make other products of value. And of course, last is, which is very, very eminent and very important, very crucial amongst the youth, which is rewear. We have this, that thing that, oh, in the social media, if we, we rewear our clothes, if we repeat our clothes, it's not cool. So now instead of saying become cool, now the new cool will be to rewear and repeat your clothes, love your clothes. In fact, love your clothes to the extent that you can even mend and blend your clothes. So this awareness has to be spread now in terms of like through social media, through these movement, through these dialogues, what we are having amongst the youth community, the young community, because the youth is now the present and the future of not only the country, but even the world. So you are going to take forward, and ma'am also explained about the sustainable development goals. So how, as we, as design community, as a community, we are going to contribute. So there are these 17 action points which are laid down by the United Nations. And I think so number 11 and 12 are, which talks about responsible production and responsible community. So this is how we can contribute by becoming, responsible and conscious about our carbon footprint, about our supply chain, about sustaining the supply chain from the weavers to the master Gs to the end consumer, about reducing the carbon, this local fresh water, all these things. And being being India and being an Indian fashion designer, I'm very passionate about working with the weavers and the craftspeople of the country, because that is how we can contribute to their livelihood. That is how we can promote. Why do we want the Italian designers to come and say, oh, this, this craft, this Lucknow craft of chicken curry is very named. We can take this initiatives. We can promote our own arts and crafts and weaves throughout the globe. In fact, my garment has an Indian soul, because it is made out of silk chanderi, but it has a very global appeal. And I also use the least polluting technique, which is digital printing. And now that because of this new evolution, new technology developments, their biodegradable inks are also being used in the digital printing processes, and it also reduces the use of local fresh water. There's hardly any fresh water also being used. So it is essentially a least polluting techniques. So these are some of the, the action points which we need to take. And also when we talk about sustainable fashion, we have to understand the use of natural fibers. So when I spoke about synthetic fiber, how microfibers are very dangerous, on the contrary, when we talk about slowing down because planet Earth is screaming, when we talk about slow fashion, we have to introduce this whole use of natural fibers. So when we talk about natural fibers, we talk about organic cotton. Now, please understand, organic cotton. I'm saying not the normal cotton, because normal cotton also uses a lot of pesticides. So a lot of chemicals are used. So the use of organic cotton, use of linen, hemp, then there are also fibers made of pineapple and banana. So these are the other alternate natural fibers. In fact, I recently attended one of the very nice exhibitions called a pop-up in Goa called the Conscious Soup, in which all the community, like, whoever the new, designers, new age designers, the startups had come, and even these NGOs from Kala Raksha and from this one NGO from Bangalore had come, which makes, these very interesting products like baskets out of, grass. So these were very interesting, it's like a community. So this is the new conscious community which is now growing, and it is gaining momentum, especially places like Goa, because this whole sustainable development, sustainable fashion, about caring for the environment is very, very, is gaining the momentum here. So the last is what I would like to understand is, we all need to ask certain questions to ourselves. Number one is, who made my clothes? This question one has to ask. Number two, who made my fabric? Now, this is something which will leave an impact in your mind. Number three is, what is in my clothes? And number four is, do I need it or I want it? Because the fast fashion victim, I'm using this word fast fashion victim because in the present day social media and this peers, the youth, they want to look cool. So this whole concept has to change. A conscious effort has to be made to slow down, to change our purchasing habits. So we have to ask these questions again and again to ourselves, to do I need it or I want it? So these questions are very relevant in the present day times. So the entire approach is about looking good, feeling good, and doing good. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sonia. That was very insightful, and you put it in the perfect language for, how everybody can understand what are the issues. So now I invite our next speaker.
Sorry to interrupt you, ma'am. Just I wanted to know that Sonia ma'am has a video. Should we play it or not?
Should we play it after all the four speakers are done? Would that be okay, Sonia, or do you want to play it now?
Ma'am, it's entirely up to you. You can take the call. I think so, because of the speech, if the continuity remains, they'll correlate my
okay,
talk.
Let's show the video then. Okay, let's show the video.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Please.
All right, thank you for showing that video. Now I invite Mr. Sonal Jain to share his thoughts.
Very good afternoon, everyone. And it's a pleasure talking to all the eminent panelists. And thank you to Satyam Institute and to all the faculty members for being there. I have a very different view of the entire concept of sustainability. And what I'm bringing and I'm going to be talking about is from the industry front. I've been a textile entrepreneur for almost 20 years now, and had my journey as the chair has already shared about my background. So I had a journey of being a manufacturer, exporter, retailer, a buyer, as well as a supplier to global brands and buying from them. So for me, the sustainability is a very different concept altogether. And with the concept in the kind of world that we are in right now, there is innovation, there is disruption, which is happening all around us. So whether we talk about Amazon to Google to Uber to Airbnb, so we live in a very digitized world where a lot of things are happening from a very different angle altogether. And somehow in our industry, what we see is a lot of disruption has happened in the front end of the industry, which is more like a B2C side. When you say business to consumer side, where we have seen the retail from a traditional setup of retail, it has come to a modern way of retail where now everything is going online, you're buying, you're selling, everything is happening online. So sustainability, as a matter of fact, it reduces things in a very holistic ecosystem. The things of the concept of from a traditional stores and a traditional buying area, now the concept is shifted to malls, and from malls it has come to virtual malls. And from virtual malls, now you have the option of buying from anywhere around the world. So thanks to Amazon, it brings you fashion from across the world, and people like WGSN and the trends, the runway walks. So as as an economy, as a country, or as an ecosystem, or as an industry, what we have is so much of information coming in. Thanks to Google, again, at the flick of the second, you have everything coming on to your screens. So when it comes to disruption, I would say this is an area which is slightly unexplored when it comes to our industry. I would like to just bring on some small facts, but these are like very meaningful facts. Textile as the industry is one of the largest polluters in the world. I'm sorry, but we are all part of this, but we are one of the largest polluters in the world, more than anything else, because from the water to air to the natural resources, everywhere, even to the landfill and the wastage that we create, it is next to impeccable. And that's the kind of, because every human on the planet is using textile, and it is part of our daily use. So the amount of colors and dyes that goes inside it, you can see the impact which is going in terms of in a holistic environment that we are living around. So sustainability, I would say, is a very open word, but yes, one good thing is we are all getting conscious about it, and we have a very different way of putting the sustainability. If the team can allow me to share my screen, I want to share as to how we are bringing an impact on the environment and how we are changing the course as a part of a tech company in this particular space. So thank you for sharing, giving me the rights, and I'm just sharing my screen to everyone. Is my screen visible? If I can just get a thumbs up.
Yeah, it is, sir. Please.
Thank you so much. So I belong to so I represent Sotex. I'm the founder and the CEO, and it's a digital textile ecosystem. So it's from fashion buyers to manufacturers, mills, material, and allied services. So it's an ecosystem in itself which can be accessed digitally. You don't have to travel across the world, whether it is China or Bangladesh or India or Sri Lanka. You don't have to travel to the places. You go just log on to an app on the phone, and that's where you're connected around the world. And that's what is a front end side of your toolkit. I want to just start by putting a small perspective on the ecosystem. Let's say, and let's look at, because we all belong to India. And so I'm going to take a little smaller approach, though it's a $5 trillion industry globally. But I want to just bring a focus to, let's say, Indian subcontinent, Southeast Asia. It's a $500 billion industry. 20% of the businesses are online and only 10% engage digitally. The common performance gaps between the businesses and manufacturers are all there. We see customer as a manufacturer and business, they all look out for finding the right customers. They face high development cost. They're unaware of the changing trends. They have the capacity imbalance issues. They have problem of unsold and obsolete inventory. And then as a manufacturer, there is a lack of awareness as to how they can upgrade themselves. Because the evolution, whether it is of the industry or the academic area, it's very slow. Yes, I'm part of it, and I'm also equally part of it, and we have all the academic people there. But the knowledge when it comes to an entrepreneur side, the people who are running the actual businesses, they have a very limited knowledge when it comes to an actual way of changing the things. So what we do as a platform, Certex is a B2B digital platform, which is offering cutting edge tools to make fashion and textile industry globally more efficient. We improve the connectivity. We do this through tech and AI driven matchmaking tools between buyers and sellers, more of a data driven approach from production to sourcing. And then what we reduce is the wastage, surplus stock, idle capacity, time consumption in product development. And what we unlock for the businesses is the business opportunities within the ecosystem and the working capital for growth. This is again, as a part of the holistic side, we're bringing sustainable processes across the textile ecosystem as a business. That's what our mission and vision is. How we do this is bringing experience which is much more closer to touch and feel. We have all seen the kind of environment that we have just gone through in the last couple of months in the COVID times, where the travel is restricted, digital engagements have suddenly becomes the main area, and we're all engaging digitally also at this point of time. The consumption of natural resources is becoming very significant now, because now the awareness is becoming very, very present in front of everyone, right? From the consumers to manufacturers, everyone wants to optimize their production, improve the manufacturing efficiency. The further impact, what we are holistically looking at is how to make an environment which is consuming less of production, less of the natural resources. And there is a lot towards the community learning, because everybody has to learn, right? From the youngsters to the people who are there in the business and the consumers as a responsible agent. So what we do as part of the industry initiative is bring this particular area together through a virtual app, an app and a mobile app and a web app, which makes things much more easy in terms of discovery, so that the first level of process starts initiating. This is done through buyer-supplier engagements, through lead generation, digital profiling, surplus stock, 3D designs, and learning within the industry for the people who are there as part of the industry. I'm going to just show a quick video as to how this thing works and how it is impacting the sourcing side of the industry. I hope the sound is audible. So what we have shown together is how a process of sourcing can be digitized and can reduce the can improve the efficiency between the buyer and seller. The contactability improves, the consumer becomes more aware, the producer is able to get the right innovations in front of the audience in the right way. That is how a digital gap, and through the technology, this bridge can be created and how this can be overcome. The efficiency part can further be improved. I'm now going to show you a second tool, how this is going to impact the production side. What we all see is within our ecosystem, there is a lot of unsold inventory and obsolete inventory which gets created. So as a production house, as a manufacturing process, all the factories which are there, they end up creating extra production. Everything what we create is not sold. So you have, even from the retail side to the manufacturing side, there is something which is left out. As a part of the industry average, at the production level, it is anything between 3% to 7%. At the retail level, it is anything between 5% to 12%. And these are the numbers which are available from the Commerce Trade UN. So I'm just going to take you a quick cycle of how this is actually there as part of the traditional process. If there is anything which is left out at the manufacturer's level, they end up, it's there in the warehouse. They take it. It is there in their registers. Like the stock is there in the registered. Sometimes when it has started getting old, they call the stock people. They ask them to come look at the stock and they take it away. They offer the samples and everything. And once the samples is accepted, the deal has been done and the payment is done and the stock is moved out of the factory. Now, the impact of this is the buyer is not aware of what the quality that he's buying because he's made the money up front. He has not got the time to check it. And the supplier feels that he's getting a low realization of the product. So if he's made a shirt for, let's say, 300 rupees in his factory, when he's selling it as a surplus, he will end up selling it at maybe 100 rupees, or maybe 75 rupees. Because you see all these fuddy markets across in every single part of the world. You have the flea markets, you have the small world where the surplus and things comes up and ending it. And there is a lot of unorganized area where the things are going in. And sometimes a lot of this, unfinished product, which is fabric, trim, accessories, is still lying in the warehouses which are there. And this is like so much of wastage which combined together and not put into a productive use. Now, how we overcome this problem is simply making the process digital. A factory warehouse can simply upload the product on an app. It works in two ways. The team gets to monitor once it is there on the in a digital format. So if you have a team access, they get to see. If you make it a public view and you put it on a platform like Sotex, it is visible to businesses across in the ecosystem. So for example, a fabric which is lying in a factory and has been cancelled, or it has been extra produced, or it is, extra ordered, but it is lying there and it is lying in their factories for like weeks, months. But if it is there on a website, somebody who is next to it within the region can actually go out on the platform and look for the available stock of fabric, trims, accessories, or even the ready garments. So these are there. The quick exchange of interaction can happen between buyer and seller. It can be from a domestic market or can be from the over market, because digital gives you an access to go and work globally. And then the prices that you can get is much better, because now you're not showing to 1 or 2 or 5 dealers of the stock, but you are actually showing it to the community, which can give you a right value of a product. The product, once the deal gets made, the product can be verified by a third-party inspection. Payments can be made and dispatching can be made after the thing has been there. So the impact is the buyer wins because he gets to have a product which is lower than the market value. If he's buying a fabric for, let's say, 60 rupees, now he's getting a stock for, let's say, 40 rupees. But when it comes to a previous cycle, the stock gets sold for 20 rupees or 10 rupees. So the supplier also wins. So the validation process has been made in such a way that the entire ecosystem, once it has been digitized, the value chain becomes a benefit, and it's a win-win situation coming in. Now, this has just simply been shown to you through a slide like this, where manufacturers' challenges are like this. They have a warehouse been there where they don't know what to do with this, and it's an inventory which is internal to the company. Then the buyer side, they are always looking out for fabrics, fabrics, trims, accessories, ready stock of garments. When it is coming on an organized platform, it is like a simple discovery being made through an app, which is a mobile app or a web app. So discovery is easier. Now the third solution, what we are showing is an extension to what we are showing together. Now it's a unique proposition for SME startups in the apparel industry. Now it's a design lab where what we have linked is the supply chain and the designers or manufacturers to come and collaborate with each other. Now when they collaborate with each other, it is all done virtually. So they pick up a virtual design, create a virtual garment, and present it to the buyer. Once the buyer says, okay, the design, the fits, the silhouettes, the color combination, everything is okay, that is when you go back and trace from where this fabric is available from. It can be a fabric lying in Delhi or in Jaipur or in Noida, or it can be in Tripura. So now you have the access to the supply chain which is available. And this we have done in partnership with Tukatech, which is one of the biggest fintech companies which is based in US. I also would like to take a quick video of how this process has been designed. So what we have done here in this particular area is create a completely 3D and sustainable process. You do not invest in physical samples, you do not make wrong productions or wrong samples, and you do not present wrong things. So once the design has been, once the fabric has been chosen, the design has been picked up, you create a physical virtual sample and present to the customer. So the things can be in a way that you know what is to be produced. A lot in our industry goes in the wastage at the sample and development time. And some of my experts will believe and agree with this. At the production houses, a lot goes in wastage when the sampling is being produced again and again. And for smallest error, the buyer says, okay, correct this thing, correct that thing, send me this color, send me that colors, increase the armhole, reduce the armhole, send me this fit. So all this can be further be improved. So the idea is when you work on an ecosystem, the process becomes more sustainable. The third, the fourth area, what we are putting in together is making the community much more aware. Awareness is where everybody, right from the supply chain to manufacturers to buyers, everybody starts engaging with a conscious mindset. The conscious mindset is when you are more aware, when you're more disciplined, and you are learned about it, how the processes are changing, what the trends are changing, how to improve your manufacturing processes. That's when you take a right decisions in your both manufacturing and the buying processes. Whether it is sourcing, buying, manufacturing, you take the right decisions. I'm just putting a small process as to how we are engaging the community at a level because they after they come out from the colleges, once they have, most of us, like I had my education back in 2000, and still I do take a point to upgrade my skills. But in our industry, traditionally, not many people do get that opportunity. So we were just showing as to how we're building up a better community process together. Just another video again, how we bring in sustainability in this ecosystem. Okay, so I think this video is not running. So what we have created is a complete community mix where on the platform we have fashion brands, the manufacturers, the supply chain, the support partners, and the associations all coming in together. Now these, once you have a community which is digitally engaging, so whether it is buyers, suppliers, meetings, whether it is learning from the experts, or whether it is growing your knowledge about how to upgrade your business or how to upgrade your teams about it, the community learning impacts the whole ecosystem. And that's what we are building on the Sotex as a platform. As a user, what they end up getting when they are much more digitally active, and as a community, when we are more digitally active, is the engagements are much more higher. So typically these are 3 times higher because you get to see focus opportunity, you have a better connection and visibility, you have more technology driven lead generation processes. Sourcing is with the traceabilities, cloud storage, and whole lot of other things where the product designing is in, and then you're learning from the experts which are there within your community. So it's a continuous learning process that we are building in together. As a platform, as I mentioned earlier, and as a chairman, we have got a 15,000 plus businesses which are there as part of the platform. We do focus lead generations already as a young company. We still done about $90 million worth of lead generations, close the business across the borders. 8,000 people have been educated through webinars. And of course, everything has been done not purely from the mindset of, from the intangible way. As a business, because for you to build up and keep running in the right direction, you have to have a business model which is sustainable and self-progressive and keeps building on. And that's how we build up a process where with every single area that we build up, there is a small area of revenue that we keep earning. Because if you don't make revenue out of it, you do not excel and you cannot build better products. Because and the businesses and for you to take care of your customers and for your people, you need to be having a profitable business. And that's what we want to build in together on this. That's how we have a global team of people who are building up such teams, and we are fortunate to have some of the very renowned people on the panel. Mr. Ram Sareen, who is the founder and CEO of Tukatech. He's on the part of our advisory board. Mr. Nemesh Dave, who is the industry expert, who is part of the advisory board. So this is all as to how we as a team continuously learn, engage, and progress. And as we do some new ideas, new information, new kind of disruptions in the industry, yes, we do get some sort of media recognitions that gives us at least a belief that we are moving in the right direction. So with this, I would like to end my presentation. And just on a quick note that I would like to leave you all is the fact that on a sustainability as a business model, we have created a complete document. And this document is like a small area which talks more on the practicality of what can be done at the industry level, how if there is academic, how the young professionals who are trying to get into the industry, what are the conscious decisions that they should take. And when we talk about sustainability, it is not just the front end, it is also at the back end, because the back end is the main backbone. Your complete supply chain, whether it is your fabric, whether it is your yarn, whether it is your weaving, your dyeing process, every single process has its own uniqueness. And with all this uniqueness that brings them together is the fact that the industry and the environment as a whole, we need to see sustainability from a different tangent altogether. And we have to see it from a practicality, because ultimately we are either a consumer or a producer or a creator. So with this, I would like to end my note here. And thank you once again to all the panelists here. And I'm happy to have any questions later in this session.
Thank you very much, Sonal. That was very insightful, and looks like you have a great business model and a great solution for industry issues and I fully agree with that 3D modeling where you can, reduce the impact of sample making and even flying that sample, because every time sample has to go through aircraft. So that's also reducing the carbon footprint that we talked about. So that's wonderful. But I do wonder sometimes about the impact of using computers, and then what kind of energy, what kind of footprint of that. So we'll talk about that some other time. I'll now invite Ms. Anju Julshayen to share her thoughts.
Thank you,
Ma'am, before you start, I just want to request one thing, that we have a small span of time. Everybody is supposed to be on time. Everyone has 12 minutes to speak. And Mr. Jan, if you want to share anything more, then you can share it on the chat box in our chat box, so that we can circulate it.
I'll do that towards the end. Yeah.
And extremely sorry, Anju ma'am, I interrupted in between.
No problem,
But yeah, 12 minutes. If you can, then it will be very grateful for us. Thank you so much.
Okay. I'll just start with the sharing my screen 1 minute. Is my screen visible to all?
Yeah, ma'am, it's visible.
So a very good afternoon to one and all present here. Firstly, at the onset, I would like to thank Satyam Group of Institutes for organizing such a wonderful conference on a theme of sustainability, which is of prime importance today. And definitely I would like to thank Anupama ma'am for chairing the session. And definitely another thank you goes without fail to Vandana ma'am, who has been constantly in touch and been coordinating this session for this session with all of us. So a big thank you to you also. Whenever we are talking of terms like, sustainability or carbon footprint, circular life cycle, we all start feeling that, oh, these are very technical and complex terms. But since we have a lot of students sitting over here, I would like to tell you that all these terms might be sounding very complex, but they all have a very similar approach in the designing of greener products. Okay. So even though the road towards sustainability isn't easy, it's now critical that we all learn what qualities as truly sustainable and ethical fashion would include, and as designers, how we can incorporate it in our design process and product development. As the slide very clearly tells you, that we all love fashion, right? Whether it's glamorous accessories or fun clothing or our own individuality, we all love it. And all around the world, we can see that it has been loved all over the world. We can reinvent, we can express, we can create and stand out from the rest of the crowd. Why? Because when we
shall we please mute yourself? Sorry for that.
No problem. So basically, when we look good, we feel good. So, but have you ever thought what all goes into designing a good product? So here we are. Firstly, when we start with designing, the process starts with problem solving, which is nothing but a cognitive framework of analysis, synthesizing, and evaluation to create design solutions to a problem. Design is all about problem solving. Now, problem solving by reconciling. So when you're talking of reconciling, what as a designer are you reconciling? You may reconcile with the past. Okay, you may reconcile with the contemporary style, or reconcile with fashion,
As you can see here, those Google lenses which are there, the glass uses a head-up display, which is a transparent display like a miniature computer, which can perform smartphone-like functions, or you can reconcile with comfort. So right now, we have to see to it that as designers, we reconcile with sustainability. We have to take sustainability in hand before we go further with our designing. Now, so when we're talking about design, it's all about problem solving by reconciling what you want to do as a designer with what is realistically possible, at the same time, using our creativity to the optimum. Now, when we're talking about designing, we need to talk about sustainable designing or sustainable fashion approach. So when talking about sustainable fashion approach, it is nothing but something that maximizes the benefits to the fashion industry and the society at large, while at the same time minimizing its impact on the environment. Now, whenever we are talking about minimizing the impact on the environment, we have to see to it that for any company to grow and secure its growth in the future, it needs to embed sustainability into all its products, services, and processes. That means right from designing till the product is delivered to the consumer, everything goes into sustainable process. How do you attain this? Now, there are certain simple techniques which you can use as designing students, as designers, wherein we can incorporate sustainability at each stage. Now, we're talking of zero-based pattern cutting. Now, this is, when you're talking about zero-based pattern cutting, first thing that comes to our mind is, can we talk about waste in terms of pattern cutting? Because when we actually go and see or we study the surveys that have been conducted, we realize that almost 400 billion square meters of fabric is wasted during every product development throughout the year. Now, and it has also been estimated that 15% of this waste is from textiles, which is just out of the total production that is there, 15% is just wasted during pattern cutting. So how as designers we can make changes in our way of working, such that maybe through the designing stage or at the placement stage, or by using draping techniques or by fabric manipulation, there are an ample number of ways in which we can reduce this waste. So what can we do? How can we do? That is up to us. We need to work towards this area. Now, next is minimal seam construction. This is a design technique that reduces the number of seams that are required to sew together a garment. And it makes manufacturing much quicker and can save on materials. So we again have to see to it that how we can bring about this particular aspect in our designing as well. Upcycling, which we all talk about and we all know, but it's just an approach to design where you transform the byproducts or waste or disused materials or products into something new and of better quality and greater value. When talking of recyclability, we have to keep into consideration the materials which we are using for packaging. We have to minimize the usage of different types of materials, try to use single type of materials instead of using multiple types of materials. Even when you're talking of fabrics, instead of using blends, if we can use more of 100% fabric, whether it's cotton or whichever fabric, it will be always better because recyclability becomes much easier. Now, these are some of the pictures or clippings of the designs or products designed by our students from old jeans, from, you can see these accessories which are designed. These are made out of old PET bottles. They've cut these bottles into the shape of the flowers and created beautiful accessories out of it. So you can be very, very creative into your designing. And we as educators can keep such themes for the students so that they keep on learning and, understanding how do they design. And so when they come up in the industry as designers, they will just do the right things. Definitely designing for longevity, because that is one of the most important things. Whatever fabrics or whatever garments we bring into the industry, we have to see to it that this particular fabric or garment should have a long duration or more durability. Now, how can we get that? Maybe by using thicker fabrics which are more comfortable, because when you must have seen even in your wardrobe, if you have certain garments which are very comfortable, you don't want to discard them. Garments which are looking very nice at one glance, you really want to continue with them. And definitely durability has to be there, and durability comes with thickness of fabric. So the fabrics are thicker, they will generally last longer than the fabrics which are more sheer. Okay, and also emotional attachment definitely is a very important thing. If you are emotionally attached to your fabrics, you will not so easily discard them. Just think about it. Then we can incorporate multifunctional design. So we can design a product which can be used in multiple ways. Like, for example, these are some of the cushion covers designed by our students at SVT. They have designed the cushion covers which can be converted into a mat. It can be used in multiple ways. Okay, again, these are some of the other mats which can be reconverted into cushion covers, which are also, what do you call it, reversible. Now, besides being multifunctional, we could have some designs which could be transformational. Okay, like we could have incorporate the idea of transformation into the designing. Now, what do you mean by this? I'll just show you a small video quickly so you can understand. Here you can see this accessory or this footwear. The flower which is there is replaceable. Okay, this was designed again by one of our students. So you can have multiple uses for the same footwear with different outfits. Okay, so this is a very good idea which I thought I would like to share with you. Now, okay, now besides this, we also should keep energy efficiency in mind when you're designing. We have to see to it that we would go back to our traditions. Earlier, we used to use hand looms instead of power looms. We used to use hand embroidery instead of machine embroidery. So, and even the draping techniques which were used earlier, and all these techniques, if we start incorporating in our designs, automatically will become more and more energy efficient. We all have been talking about preservation of art. Now, this was one clipping which I had from, again, the students' work, wherein they have used Japanese art, which is a kabuki masks, which they have used as a design, and they have converted them into sling bags. So again, this is one way of preserving our art and craft. Similarly, we can do so many things for our Indian art forms, especially the ones which are dying out and which we want to revive. Then we have sustainable retailing, that is nothing but re-commerce. Now, you must have all heard of a lot of clothes swapping or clothes thrifting that is happening. That is basically why? Because consumers are increasingly rejecting the throwaway culture. There was one time when we all used to feel, oh, the moment we open a cupboard, oh, there's nothing to wear. It was a very, very common term which was used by all of us. But now we have to see to it that using that term is no longer cool. We have to change our mindset. We have to change our behavior towards it. We have to think about how we can reduce our rejections and use our garments which are already existing with us. We have to look out at companies which are, giving us this kind of opportunities where you can buy the products which have been reloved, as Jayatri ma'am had very nicely put it up. Okay, because if we want to make a difference in the world environment, definitely we have to take small baby steps at each stage. Definitely we have to take care of what is going to be the product end of life outcome, because without that it's going to be very, very difficult for anybody to be able to keep sustainability in mind. So when you're talking of sustainable clothing, it should be made with durability in mind. In other words, it should be something that's going to last long, and it has to have a C2C approach. That is nothing but cradle to cradle approach. So that is whatever is born with whatever goes around has to perish and again has to be reused. Okay, so if there are companies who are giving us schemes such as repairing or returning those particular products and they're recycling it and reusing it, then those are the companies we should look for as consumers, as designers. We should look into this as a very, very important aspect for us. Definitely, besides this, we have these supply chain transparency also, which comes into the picture when you're talking about sustainability, because transparency has a direct impact on us. Okay, and the more visible we are and the more traceable our entire supply chain is, the more trust our consumers will develop into us. So we have to see to it how we can build up transparency in the supply chain and be sustainable even in our supply chain. Now, nowadays we have these 10 R's of sustainability. It's basically how smartly you're going to use your products, whether you or your manufacturers are using your products, how you can extend the life cycle or lifespan of the products and its different parts, and how you can usefully have applications for the various materials that are being used, and how you can increase a higher level of circularity. Because till now we were having more of a linear economy, but how you can have it more circular is what we have to look into. and keeping all these 10 R's in mind, that we have to keep on refusing to keep on buying something new. We have to keep on recycling, reducing, repairing what we already have. And, instead of, we have to restore what is already with us, feel more responsible, not only as educators. As an educator, I'm doing my bit by, making people aware of how sustainability or what is the importance of sustainability. You all as designers, it's your responsibility to take the sustainability into mind when you're designing your products and garments, etc. See how you can respect the planet. Without it, we would be nowhere, because there's no planet next. We have to see to it that how we can preserve and do our best for this planet. Finally, I would like to say that whatever we have to use maximum of that. We may borrow with our friends, from our relatives. We could swap our clothing. We can think of thrifting clothes. And why not think of making clothes? Remember, our grandmas used to make such lovely clothes that were there. And now we are coming to the fashion, into the culture where we are just going out, buying things, which is very easy. But when you make your own clothes, you realize the importance, you value them more, and you will not throw them away so easily. So try and make your own clothes, and you have to reduce the buying. So you can use this hierarchy, which was given by Maslow. I'm using it here for a hierarchy for all of us. So buying should be minimal, and using what we have has to be maximum. With that, I would like to end this session in a way. So a big thank you to all of you for patiently listening to me. I've tried to make it as crisp and short as I could. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Anju. Appreciate that. And I like your hierarchy and circularity and the R's that you presented. So yeah, I think those are the key concepts. So we'll quickly move on, because I think we are running short on time. So I want to make sure that Nidhi gets her time share. So I invite Nidhi Goyal to now share her thoughts.
Okay, thank you so very much. Just give me a moment. Let me share my screen. Okay, so good morning and good afternoon and hello to everyone as per your region. So in my region right now in Bahrain is morning, and Dr. Anupam, I believe it is morning for you as well. And in India, in Delhi, we are having afternoon. So hi and good morning, good afternoon to everyone. So first of all, thank you very much, Satyam Group of Institutions, Dr. Vanda and her team, for having me here at the International Virtual Conference on reflections on holistic, multidisciplinary and futuristic aspects in higher education. I think it has provided a valuable forum for academics, industry, and as well as our students. Thank you for inviting me to speak on sustainable practices. I express my gratitude to respected Dr. Ajula Chakradeo, Professor Saroj Sharma, Dr. Anupama, the chair of the session, and as well as all the esteemed speakers. It has been a pleasure listening to all the insightful talks. And of course, thank you, Mr. Ujjwal, for opening the session for us. So my presentation will be about sustainable practices, and I would be sharing my views and my experience as an educator and as well as a researcher. So if you have ever thought, like this, when you have gone out for shopping, I think there is a consciousness in you, and that you are somewhere you think about sustainability. So today in my presentation, I would be talking about a few points from, as I said, educator point of view on how designing can be practiced sustainably by the design students and by the designers of tomorrow. So I would be briefly talking about sustainability from a global perspective, and also from the designing student and as well as from the designer point of view. So why do you think that we all are talking about sustainability today? Why we are organizing this conference? Just because everyone is talking about it, or it is all over on social media, news, everywhere, or it is a hot topic, or it sells? Or with this approach, we are harming our nature less. What is it and why? Okay, so maybe you will have a choice somewhere in this diagram. Well, actually, all of these points are very much applicable and very much valid. COVID-19 pandemic has brought devastation to millions around the world and disrupted many parts of the global economy. Governments had to step up to protect the lives and livelihood. But climate change has continued and has ultimately threatens us, everyone, the life on Earth. So yes, as I said, that we are, everyone is talking about sustainability. So we are. So these are the UN Sustainable Development Goals, as we talked about in the beginning. Dr. Anupama talked about these SDGs. So where we are in these goals, and if you look at, I could identify goal number 15, which is life on land. It does highlight the responsibilities of the design industry, and that means the responsibility of us. The fashion industry must work to protect, restore, and promote sustainability. We really have to take up this responsibility. Yes, it is all there. So for nearly 3 decades, UN has been bringing together almost every country on Earth for global climate summits, and they call it as COP, which stands for Conference of the Parties. And this year, it was the 26th annual summit. So that is why the name is COP26, and where 196 countries, including EU, participated. Now, when we are talking about COP26, so where is fashion over here? So fashion for the first time actually got its meaningful and extended presence. Stella McCartney, she created a special Future of Fashion material exhibition, and she used her installation to draw attention of the delegates over there. And what's more, there was an installation by a fashion collective, which is called as Generation of Waste, which mimics the bar chart of the various stages of the textile waste, from the design through the raw materials and garment production and so on. There was a fashion charter which was signed by 130 signatory companies, including for the first time LVMH, which has got the stronger commitments to halve the carbon emissions by 2030. More than this, there was a digital ID which was unveiled by Federico Marchetti, which was created by the Fashion Task Force of Prince Charles Sustainable Markets Initiative. And what is this digital ID? This digital ID is nothing actually but like a tracker which can track, just by scanning, can track the manufacturing history of the particular garment by blockchain technology. As well, there were other topics that were discussed, like the growth, resale, which has become reuse, and as well as regeneration. All of these were discussed. So what does it instigate in our industry, among our students, or in academia, or in the industry? And actually, what we can do as design students, I mean, what can we do really? The greatest threat to our planet is the belief that someone else will save it. So what can we do as design students? We just need to develop a smart attitude, and you don't need to stress yourself. This is what I always say in my class. A smart attitude and no stress. Now, what do I mean by stress? What do I mean by smart over here is be specific with your goals and your actions. The goals and actions have to be measurable. They have to be very much attainable. They have to be realistic, and they should be time bound. For the entire life, you cannot be just sitting on one goal and keep exercising it. Maybe you need to break them down. Now, today you all are design students, and tomorrow you will be the designers, or maybe you will be aligning yourself with a company or with a business. A lot has been said by the esteemed speakers as well. Mr. Sonil Jain talked about and highlighted some of the industry practices. Now, it is extremely important that today, as we are practicing design, tomorrow we have to align ourselves, our values, with the business that we want to allow and we want to align with. So here are a number of sustainable business practices. I'm just taking a step back, and these are the sustainable business practices and the strategies or the processes or approaches that you can take to design your products that can have a low environmental impact. Well, by the way, we all are learning to earn. So that is extremely important that from today, the first idea has to be there. Yes, after 2 years or 3 years or 4 years, I will be in the industry and will be earning for myself. So you need to think about, first of all, the values and the aim and the mission of the fashion business that you would like to join. Do these values, so what are these values am I talking about? These can be integrity, these can be responsible social behavior, transparency, innovation. If these are your values, I must insist that you must align yourself to the business which also follows these values, the aim and the mission. Define your target market. As merchandising teacher, I always talk about that for a business, your target market is extremely important. Just do not get deviate away from, just do not pay attention only to the production or only to the selling. It is important that you identify your target market, as we say, in terms of age, your demographic, likes, dislikes, etc. If your value and if your mission is about sustainability, so you may have to educate your consumer as well about sustainability. It can be done through your community engagement practices. It can be done through your portal. It can be done through your various exercises and the approaches that you want to take up. Similarly, if your customer is already aligned with the sustainable values, that it is extremely important that you keep fostering it and keep building up this confidence. Designing and development, yes, are the most exciting part of this journey, and we need to take up a few exercises and practices like zero waste, as Dr. Anju also mentioned about, minimum seam, upcycling. All of these are extremely important to be taken up. Build up your digital skills, as Mr. Sunil also highlighted. It is important that we have to support our craft. We are doing conscious sourcing, conscious production, and a very, very conscious message delivery and communication. So as a design student, please, you need to follow a circular design process. You need to appreciate craft, and as well as you have to develop and practice these digital skills. There can be some part in your curriculum which retaliates or reinforces about the digital skills like Adobe Photoshop, etc. But at the same time, as we have been insisting that learning is not stopping. So you please go out, pick up your short-term courses and enhance and expand your digital skills. So this is what I'm talking about, the circular design process. As you start designing, you make sure that you design for low impact materials, for longevity, for recyclability, and with low waste. These are a few projects that we do at foundation level at our university. So upcycling is the one, and it is an approach to design where you can transform the byproducts, waste and disused materials or products into something new or better quality. So this is the project that I'm showing is of the foundation level. So here it is the upcycling project, and every year we give one garment category, be it like shirt or t-shirt or skirt, pants and trousers to the student, and they have to go through the entire design process in a very sustainable way and have to come up with a new product. Even if the leftover of once the project is done, they have to develop and design accessories as well. Last year, as it was a COVID time globally, we could not come up with our fashion show. The graduate students could not come up with a fashion show. So our fashion design graduate students, they came up with the fashion show film.
Fashion design student at RW. I took a lot of experience during these 4 years with the help of my doctors, who I really would like to thank them a lot for the help and support. My final year project is inspired from the texture of the clamshell and its beautiful color shades, softly like the blue. Isra Alawi, a fashion graduate from Royal University for Women. My final graduation project is inspired by the Ayat Forum Moth. The Ayat Forum Moth is part of the Gematria, which is one of the most species-rich family of Lepidoptera. The genre of the Ayat Flora is very unique due to the margins of its fore and hind wings, with many radiating lines which just includes 2 species around the world. Autophora is a spring-summer 2021 ready-to-wear collection inspired by the form and color of the moth.
Okay, I would maybe I will share the YouTube link of this film with the students so that they can watch it later. And of course, from the research point of view, I have been taking up different projects on research, which is on re-commerce of pre-owned clothing, and also have been researching about the nanomaterials that can be used for wastewater management, etc. Now, when I was actually discussing with Dr. Vandana about sustainable practices in design, one incident that came to my mind was that back maybe just 10 years back when I was getting married, I happened to meet one of my friends in Connaught Place, and we said that, okay, I'm shopping these days, and she said, yeah, I'm also shopping, I'm also getting married soon. Where did you get your lehenga from? And I said, yeah, from Chandni Chowk, because I stay in Chandni Chowk. I did explore Lajpat Nagar as well. And then she said, okay. And I said, what about you? She said, I hired my lehenga. So there was, silence for some time, and I was like, yeah. And she said, yeah, we just wear this lehenga for once. Yeah, I mean, what is the point? I mean, yeah, we have been practicing sustainability in some way or the other as a consumer. And when I conducted this research with one of my students at Lady Irwin College, we actually realized that consumers over today have they do not mind getting into pre-owned clothing. They want to take up, and we received actually quite a positive response when we learned about the attitude of consumer for pre-owned clothing. Then interestingly, we also, during one of the events in Bahrain, we organized this fashion swap. And Bahrain is a country which has got very high purchasing power. It is a very big market for luxury as well. And when we thought to organize this fashion swap, it was one of the activities in the fashion week that we organized. And so where the students were expected to bring their own old clothing, washed, in good condition, and then they can swap. And we actually received a very good response. One of my students came to me and said, yeah, doctor, I never knew that, there were so many good and nice clothing I could have taken by just putting my old clothing over here. So these are the few practices and the few approaches or the few techniques that you can just take up in order to create awareness about sustainability. You can practice it very easily, and not only as a design student, but as a designer of tomorrow. I would also like to highlight over here that we need to learn from the pioneers of fashion industry. And here I have one example from Gucci and its sustainable approach. So Gucci Equilibrium is the platform, and there are a number of projects for people, for planet. And there is this project, namely, I Was a Sari. And it was founded by Stefano Funari in 2013. I Was a Sari is an Indian social enterprise selling upcycled products, such as contemporary ready-to-wear and accessories made from pre-owned or pre-loved saris. In India, saris, as we know, is a traditional attire for women and source of cultural values. And here, each I Was a Sari, the product is handcrafted by underprivileged Indian women, providing them with regular income and financial independence. Yeah, so very much Indian, but the project is very much international. With this, I just want to present one of the framework as suggested by Council of Fashion Designers of America, where they are also talking about that how is it important for the designers and the design students, the design entrepreneurs to come together and contribute the idea of fundamental interest in preserving the environment in itself, education, engagement, aligning the values, activating company sustainable growth strategies, and make sustainability evident internally and externally. So I would like to echo the words of Giorgio Armani. The best way to make a contribution in fashion is to promote the idea that a fundamental interest in preserving the environment is in itself fashionable. I just want to say that design students need to adapt to the changes. We need to act consciously. And it's another term that I'm highlighting over here is a realist matrix. That means you have to be realistic, you have to be artistic, and you have to be smart as well. Appreciate good practices, appreciate the craft, appreciate local, and support your local. Thank you so very much for having me here again. And again, I sincerely appreciate the kind invitation to this conference, and which is very much well balanced and well organized. And I really enjoyed, and I look forward to meeting you all again soon. Thank you so very much.
So thank you, Nadine, that was nice. And then so I think considering that we are out of time here, I don't know if we have time for any questions,
We can take one or two quick questions if
Do
anybody.
we have, in the audience, I think this is a good opportunity in the audience, students should ask some questions.
Dr. Goel, you are requested to stop the screen sharing.
Yeah, I'm trying to do that. Just give me a
Okay,
minute,
yeah,
please.
okay.
Good afternoon, everybody. Myself, Tanishka Arya. I just wanted to ask one question, that how can designers engage with communities and users?
So would Sonia, would you like to take that question, being a designer yourself?
Yes, so ma'am, this is a very pertinent question, and it always the new designers, the young talents, they want to understand. So I always tell them to first of all hone your skills, and after getting the technical discipline, it is very important to have a very very informative and a very intelligent curriculum vitae, to make your own resume and put it on LinkedIn. So I always suggest them to join LinkedIn, as a professional, because there are a lot of these opportunities. And now with the social media intervention, to have being creative, Instagram having an Instagram page, you can immediately start your own business, and having a Facebook page as well. You can be your own self-employed entrepreneur. This is how we have also learned, by trial and error method, and we are going slowly but steady. In fact, the ongoing pandemic has taught a lot of lesson to all of us, because of the climate change and because of the retail also being so slow. So now August onwards, with the little markets opening up, so we are also selling our merchandise through exhibitions, through pop-ups, and even online also we are selling. So there are a lot of these online and offline opportunities coming. So yes, so one step at a time.
I would
Thank
like
you.
to add on to Ms. Sonia's comments over here and suggestion regarding the engagement of community with the consumer. We all are utilizing social media in the very best way, but it is extremely also one of the suggestions that I have over here is that just do not clutter your site or your Instagram or your handle with your products, or with it should be very much focused. I would like to say it has to be very, very specific, first of all. And when it is about engagement with your consumer, so for the consumer engagement, it is important that you come up with some activities. For example, you come up with some tutorial classes, or you come up with some challenges, so that the consumer, they feel that they are connected with you as a designer. Recently, I think, Christian Dior on their social media, they opened up the exhibition of their sketches from couture to ready to wear. So with all of these exercises and the practices, it becomes easier for the community, it becomes easier for the consumer to get engaged with the brand. So this also, I think, plays a very important role.
I agree with Nidhi, ma'am. In fact, content is very important. Like, how do we create the content? And I'm sure the new generation is smart. They are like, with, they have this technical, they're tech savvy. So the content they'll create will also go and help them in their practices.
Thank you both of you. I just want to, I think all the answers what I have. Sorry.
Can I just add something?
Sure, Anju, go ahead. Yeah.
I just wanted to add that as Nidhi ma'am very rightly said, that you can have the brands can have their own tutorials or something. Recently at one of the malls over here in Mumbai, they had a workshop by one of the brands on sari draping. And because there is a lot of decline in the wearing of a sari these days, so they had started this initiative so that more and more people can start using saris. So this was the initiative by them to how they could interact with the community, at the same time how they could increase the usage of a sari. So I just wanted to share that with all of you.
Thank you. Sonal, do you have anything to add to this discussion?
Yes, I just would like to add one more area. We all live in the digital world, and there is something very unique what Sotex is also doing in this particular area. I understand that the young graduates and the young students have enormous set of ideas coming in. And we as a platform, when we connect with the supply chain, we have businesses, manufacturers, suppliers all across in the different geographies connected to us. We have a special section in a category called designer portfolios. And that's one area where you would now connect directly to the industry. We have about close to 7,000 businesses, which are garment manufacturers, garment exporters, who are actively looking out for new design, new designers, and they are all looking out for creative ideas. So in case, if you will, just log on to Sotex, create your profile and just post your portfolios there. That's one way of doing it. Second, what we have also shared with you is a sustainability way. So you don't actually end up creating a physical samples, just create a virtual samples out of it. And when you create a virtual sample, you have the ideas of playing with the colors, with the silhouettes, with the designs, with the fabrics. So once it is virtually, it is again, you're part of the sustainability process. You don't end up creating something which is not required in the industry. Just create, put your imaginations, put your creativity, show it on social media, put it on Sotex, and we'll take you to the industry. That's what we, as part of the.
Thank you. And I think so all the 4 speakers here talked about, I think it was more of sales or other focus. When I was thinking about the question, I was thinking from how to engage the community, how to use the human capital as like making by hand and slowing down the fashion. And then the user aspect, I was thinking more from the terms of how to educate the consumer, how to start using the right materials, right methods, and then how you educate the consumer to slow down as well. So my perspective was very different in this space. And I also want to just kind of like, obviously, for all the aspiring students, you can see that from the design, from the industry perspective, and from educators everywhere, there is a potential. But I want to say one thing here, that as a fashion, as a discipline of fashion, I think we are in a spot where we can actually try to lead the entire country, entire world, take fashion as an activism, as a movement. And just so you know that out of the 3-4 countries that I'm seeing here, from the Sustainable Development Goals, India has the lowest score, 60.07 to accomplish those goals. Bahrain is at 66.06. US, where I am right now, is 76.7. And the highest score is of Finland, which is 85.9. And everyone, to accomplish those goals, you have to get to 100. So let's do something where we can lead other industries to, fashion is taking the lead and other industries are following to get to those goals. So I think that's really important. And I want to thank again all the 4 expert speakers. You've given some great ideas to the students here at Satyam and the other professionals who are around. So thank you very much. And thank you again to Satyam Fashion Institute and Dr. Vandana Jagpan.
Ma'am, with your permission, can we take one last question? Just one last.
Sure, go ahead. It's your time. Like, I mean, I'm awake right now. It's like 2 a.m. in the morning here. I'm fine. And I also wanted to share, like everyone was talking about the cold weather in Delhi and all. I have like 15 inches of snow outside, which I'll have to clean tomorrow morning. I can't even drive outside like that. So, yeah.
Thank you, ma'am. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Neetu Sharma. सोनिया मैम से मैं एक क्वेश्चन पूछना चाहती हूँ. रीयूज जो वर्ड यूज हो रहा है डिजाइनिंग में, तो ये रीयूज किस चीज के लिए मैम बोला गया है? रीयूज फॉर गारमेंट्स एज ए डिजाइनर, मतलब कैसे इसका प्रोसेस क्या है रीयूज?
So yeah, thank you so much. It's a very, very simple question, and the word reuse itself is self-explanatory. So what we do in our workshops is whatever waste is collected, just a scrap hota hai, leftover materials, we reuse it. Suppose like, for example, I make like, I use small these scraps to make my own these bags, patchwork bags for carrying clothes. Though it is expensive, but in the process, I land up using all the waste which is collected. So it does not go in the, it does not go and get, accumulated in the dustbins, in the big garbages.
Yes.
So this is my own one of the sustainable practices. And I also reuse this, if you must have seen in the video, this newspaper.
Yes.
I have used it and I put my label on it. I have reused the newspaper to create carry bags for my brand. These are very simple practices I have adopted.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you. I am asking about garments. जिसे garment को reuse कर सकते हैं हम?
Garment ko of
As
course
it
use,
is.
yes, like Anju ma'am had explained how beautifully how we can convert even a skirt into how can it be converted and how can it be reused and styled. So these are
Yes.
different innovations way. And after all, we are creative students, like these technical team here will be able to tell you better how we can reuse our own garments in very different and innovative ways to create another garment.
Can I give my
Yes.
inputs, ma'am, if you permit?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Actually, as ma'am had asked a question about reusing a product, that is, it could be a garment or it could be anything else.
Yes.
So we have been doing a lot of recycling of products in our institute as well as personally, because I'm a person who will not throw away things very easily, and I keep on trying to reuse and recycle as much as possible. So even, and I'm a sari lover basically. So the saris which get a little worn out or a little something which cannot be used by me for occasions, and what I have done is I have those expensive silk saris which I will not want to discard away. So I have actually cut off the borders and the pallu, and I have made beautiful mats out of it. So I have runners made out of the sari borders and with a little bit of surface ornamentation on it. And then I have made a lot of even the old t-shirts which are there. If you can just cut them into strips and you can make you can make a good amount of what do you call it, braiding. If you can do a little bit of braiding on it, and you can make into beautiful mats, door mats, place mats. And we have been doing this in a big way in our college and at home personally. And some garments, some things which are pure cotton, which cannot be used in any form because they've got completely discolored. We can also use it at your home just for dusting purposes. But don't throw away things as much as possible. Girls, I would like to say that. And there are so many, I would say, such designer and innovative ways, creative ways you can use your old garments and recreate into new ones. There is no limit to it. You just have to keep on thinking about it. Even the old blouses, you have beautiful sleeves with a lot of work on it. You can convert them into clutches. And our students have actually done that. So beautiful clutches have been done without any work, any ornamentation to be done actually. And the clutch is ready by just making the frame out of it. So you have n number of ways where you can use these old outfits and old garments in beautiful ways and reduce the landfill weightage.
Yes.
Dr.
ma'am.
Anup,
Thank you.
Wanted to show here, like this is a wreath made out of the thread that cannot be used in past machines, because this is all cotton. It's got a lot of lint. So thinking about all the vintage looking, which is like a Christmas wreath, but it's not Christmassy.
Yes,
So
ma'am. Very
this-
good.
that
I would also like to add on, Dr. Anupama, if you allow me, and Mr. Ujjwal, can I add?
yeah, I leave it to
Thank
Mr. Ujjwal
Thank
now,
you.
the time and everything. So
Okay,
Please,
thank
ma'am,
you.
please.
I would like to, this is an international example. Sonal, this is an international example that I just want to give. और इस example में ये है कि reuse को किस तरह से from our studio उसको किस तरह से business point of view में use करा हुआ है. So there is this, I think she's not Indian citizen, but she's US citizen, Priya Aluwalia. So she collaborated with Microsoft and she created a platform which is known as Circulate. So what does she do? वो क्या करती है? For example, I have some discarded clothing. मेरे पास कुछ कपड़े जो मैं use नहीं करती हूँ. I can log on to that app. I, show pictures. I put pictures over there, and वो check करेंगी. And if they are okay, it is okay. And I will give away my clothing to her. And what she will going to do, she will going to reuse. Now reuse in a way, she would resource actually. She will develop her own, she would use those clothing, the fabric actually. Now those are no more garments. वो अब कपड़ा बन गया है. So उस कपड़े को she will use for developing her own collection. And what she will give you in return, she would give you some points like, voucher or etc. that you can use to buy her collection. So of course it is a business model. It is very much, it's a business platform. But at the same time, just look at the business idea, which is very, very easy. I think we have been doing in India. I know my mother would just used to give away the discarded clothing. And हम लोग exchange करते थे बर्तन से. Okay. Now, if you think about that model, it is digital, just converted into a digital app and the sourcing, etc. And even those ladies who are taking away my clothing and giving me the utensils, she is maybe giving away to the vendors or to the manufacturers. They're cleaning and they are reselling, etc. So reuse in a way that वो garment as it is भी use हो सकता है, वो garment एक कपड़ा भी बन सकता है और उस garment को आप किसी भी तरह से खोल सकते हो. तो garment is very much flexible, and we all love fashion, we all love garments, but we just need to have now business ideas to develop and to start making money out of it.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
yeah, and so the best solution would be to reusing it by someone else if it's usable, because then no energy, no effort is going into recreating something. But then now you have like recreating from a garment by cutting that garment and making something new, making some garment or making a product like mats. But also there are now machines that you can shred the fabric, certain natural fabrics, and then they can be recreating the yarn, and that can also happen. So there are a lot of solutions out there, but the bottom line is that consume less and keep things longer, because at the end of the day, if we keep selling and keep making, we are still utilizing a lot of energy and a lot of other resources. Yeah.
So thank you, everyone. It was such a wonderful and enlightened session. What I observed that on a single topic, on a same topic, 4 school of thoughts and a very different opinions. Very thoughtful. Miss Jaitley
In
talked
fact,
about
as you
this
just said,
4R
ma'am,
and
there are
this
a lot
use
of shops
cycle.
now, even in India, wherein they have started there are these 4 people from IIM who have started this business. It's a business model where they are just collecting old clothes from people which are in good condition, which can be reusable. And they have put up it on display, and it's basically for the community, basically serving the community. So the people who are from very low socioeconomic background, they can come and pick up the clothes, but to keep their dignity in place, they're not giving it for free, but they've kept a nominal price of just ₹1. And there is a system that not more than 5 clothes or something you can pick up at a time. And so that's a beautiful model where people are coming, they're picking up clothes, and they're very happy because some of the clothes are good branded clothes. And many of them have never even seen such clothes, and they're getting an opportunity to use them. At the same time, we are they're doing their bit in sustainability, towards sustainability. So I think we should bring up with some more such good business models, which would really help us in a big way.
Okay, so before closing this session, मैम मैं एक चीज शेयर करना चाहता हूँ. One, जब भी आप लोगों को समय मिले, when you will visit our campus, हमारे यहाँ बहुत सारे रिसाइकलिंग होती हैं. हम किसी भी खराब चीज़ों को, स्पेशली हमारी चेयरपर्सन मैम ने बहुत चीज़ें डिज़ाइन की हैं. फेंके हुए टायर से एक सोफ़ा सेट बन गया. हमारे यहाँ बहुत खूबसूरत खूबसूरत गार्डन की चीज़ें बनी हैं, एक्सेसरीज बनी हैं. तो ये एक छोटा सा एड ऑन था हमारी तरफ से, दैट वी आर ऑल्सो आर ट्राइंग आवर लेवल बेस्ट टू डू समथिंग, एंड स्टूडेंट्स आर बीइंग mentored for that as well, apart from this regular curriculum activities and those things. So I just want to say thanks to everyone. I was saying that on a single topic, the 4 school of thoughts were there, and we are feeling enlightened that this thoughtful Miss Jetli has talked about this 4R, and especially use of that bicycle was very captivating, and being vocal for local, and this very energetic Mr. Jan talked about this digitization of everything. Then extremely beautiful Anju ma'am, she talked about this. I like that hierarchy, what you showed to us, and a very graceful Dr. Goel talked about this smart approach towards everything, that SMART. So I'm just recalling a simple, a very renowned verse of Sanskrit, that Swagrihe Pujyate Murkha, Swagrame Pujyate Prabhu, Swadeshe Pujyate Raja, Vidwanang Sarvatra Pujyate. That today we witness that Vidwan from our soil, they all are basically being worshipped across the world, and they all are shining. So my special thanks goes to finally extremely inspiring our chair of this session, Dr. Anupama Pasricha ma'am, that इतने सुबह बोलूं, late night बोलूं, क्या बोलूं समझ में नहीं आ रहा. It's 2 or 3 and extremely freezing cold there, but she is still with us. So thank you so much, ma'am. And yeah, so my special and my thanks extends to the whole organizing team, and especially student volunteers who made this event successful. Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, I request Vanna Singh ma'am, please stop this link, and you all are requested to come again at